First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fed up and tired.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nazarul HAZIQ bin ZAIDI. So today I and my friend will present about University of Melbourne Archive. So for the introduction, in July 1960, the University of Melbourne Archive was established for the purpose of historical research to collect and retain records relating to the university and to business people. So next is about a list of activities, acquisition and collection. To prepare record for acquisition process, University Melbourne of Archive need to list the record of organisation, list the record of individual, and lastly packing and transfer. So University Melbourne Archive Collection will not collect new physical acquisition either responsively or proactively during this time, including as a general rule addition to existing collections in order to concentrate on strategic and organizational for the discovery, access and usage of collection and to establish new digital service. Next is about the appraisal. There are record to transfer and record not to transfer for University of Melbourne Archive. So the record need to transfer is record of their bodies for strategy, record shed light on big problem, annual and semi-annual financial statement, correspondent, operational record, and photograph and others. Next is record not to transfer, record of short-term value, administrative files of no long-term value, duplicate, and next is publication not written by the depositor. For the disposal, the disposition of document is the method by which university records are either destroyed or preserved as repositories of the university. Disposal is a set of procedures linked to the execution of record retention, destruction or transfer decision reported in the record retention and disposal authority of the university. So next is about accessioning. The university archivist is responsible for setting up and maintaining protocols for the transfer, donation and accession of records. It is the responsibility of the university archivist and staff to evaluate all materials and records donated that have surpassed their scheduled preservation period or those records that do not have a retention disposition.
So for the arrangement and description of University of Melbourne, it is the process of studying the records and sharing that knowledge with everyone else. The University of Melbourne Archives categorized many types of records in many departmental records. So the description basically through the online catalog. Next part is preservation and storage. The University of Melbourne Archive has launched the Digital Preservation 2015 to 2025 strategy. There are some major activities, such as the establishment of a digital preservation. 15 research data case studies were documented, and a review of the university policy. Next is the access and reference. It involves the process of supplying the audiovisual documents or sequences with the adequate metadata and rights clearance and rights management. The access of the information at the University of Melbourne Archive can be accessed at the reading room at the Balliol Library at the university's Parkville campus. Access conditions covering specific collection. The conditions vary, however. Next part is the outreach activities. Outreach activities are meant to engage a large audience and to bring knowledge and expertise on a particular topic to the general public. It can take several forms, such as school presentations, workshops, or public talks. So the University of Melbourne had conducted few activities, such as podcast, where the university curated podcast features students, researchers, business leaders, and alumni as they share, inspire, and push the boundaries of what's possible. Next is the blog post. Each year, students from the graduate course Digital Humanities work through the process of digitizing the university material, including selection, metadata creation, digitization, and publication.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HOUWAIDI, and for this video, I will present to you about SWOT analysis of University of Melbourne Archive. For the first part of SWOT analysis is strength. There are three strengths that I can state here. First is collection, second is staff, and third is funds. For the collection, University of Melbourne Archive has run about 60 years, so its collection is almost 110,000 collection its keep. So we all know with the lot of collection, it will become its strength because it is the value of the archive itself. For the next strength is staff. University of Melbourne Archive have staff that start from 3 levels of archivists. First is para-professional, next is professional, and last one is managerial level. So with these 3 levels of archivists that work in University of Melbourne Archive, the archive will run smoothly and it's become the strength of this archive itself. Last strength is funds. As we know, with a good fund, anything can run smoothly. For this University of Melbourne Archive, the fund comes from the administration of university itself and also from the donation from the government. Next part of SWOT analysis is weakness. There are also 3 weaknesses that I can point for this University of Melbourne Archive. First is administration, second is space, and lastly technology. For administration point, I assume that an archive that works under university will need approval from the top management of university. Just like University of Melbourne Archive also need the approval from the top management of University of Melbourne. Such as they want to add the new collection for the archive, they will also need the approval from the top management of University of Melbourne. Because of that, I think everything that's worked under University of Melbourne Archive will take time to get the approval from the top management. Next point is space. Just like I said earlier, this archive has been run about 60 years and its collection is 110,000 collection. So obviously, the physical collection has taken a lot of space in this archive. For the future use, I think this archive cannot able to manage the collection very well. Last point is technology. Now the technology evolved very fast. So for this archive, they have the digital collection, and I think they will have a lot of trouble to keep updating the technology to preserve the digital collection. And this proves that this is the weakness of this archive itself.
So now I will be continuing the SWOT analysis, and for the opportunity, firstly is the online access. So for the online access, University of Melbourne Archives can have an opportunity, which is they can create their own virtual catalog, and the impact for this opportunity is they can increase the rate of users, and then ensuring their prolonged business duration. As we all know that during this pandemic era, online access can help in reaching the users. And then by using the online access, the University of Melbourne can also get feedback based on their services. By having feedback, they can improve their services. And then the second one and the last one is the threats. The threat is in limitation in digitalization. As we all know, older collections tend to have issues when we want to digitize them, because older records are usually fragile and we need to properly digitize them. By doing so, it will waste a lot of time, and not all records can be digitized. The end results will make not all record is accessible for the users. So that is the threats and the end of the SWOT analysis. As for the conclusion, we can clearly see what actually archives function to a university and organization. And there are a lot of processes that need to be done by the archivists to archive all of their collection and document they needed for the university use. And we can also detect what is the usual problem that always happen in the archive industry by doing SWOT analysis. And in the end, we hope in the future we can actually have a visit and go to this archive to experience the real situation of the archive environment. Thank you.